Welcome to my video on the Unit 4 test preview for volume and surface area. So I'm going to go through all of the questions that you just answered so you can get any of your questions answered. And plus, this is excellent review to hear it from me right before the test. So it says find the volume of the cylinder. So I would look on my formula sheet and see that the volume of a cylinder is pi times radius squared times height. Okay, and then I look at the formula and I notice that I need an R and an H. But look at this line right here. It goes all the way across the circle. So that means the 5 represents a diameter. So I need to divide the diameter by 2. And 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. So the radius is 2.5. This right here, the 20, represents the height. So now I've got my two letters. So I write V equals pi. I always use 3.14 instead of the pi button, times 2.5 squared times the height, which is 20. Now at this point, it's just the calculator, so I type in 3.14 times 2.5 squared times 20, and I hit equals, and I get 392.5 centimeters cubed. So you should have selected choice C. So hopefully if you got this wrong, you now know why. It's probably because you forgot to divide the diameter by 2. Okay, let's look at question 2. Which of the following statements is true of the rectangular prisms below? Okay, so you got to think back to what we learned. And to find a scale factor, we do new over old. So we know that the length changed from 21 to 7. So remember what I told you. The first one is always the old one, and this is the new one. So I circle these, and I'm going to do 7 over 21. Now, 7 over 21 can be simplified, and make sure the smaller numbers on top, 7 divided by 7 is 1, and 21 divided by 7 is 3. So it's 1/3. Now remember, the smaller numbers on top, and you can tell a couple different ways. Number 1, the box shrunk. Okay. Number 2, we always put the new one on top. And the biggest mistake I see here is people do 7 divided by 21 and think the answer is 3. But if the smaller number's on top, then I got to have a fraction. So 1/3. So now let's look. The surface area triples? No, because the box shrunk. So obviously the surface area isn't going to triple. The volume triples? No, it shrunk. Now the surface area is reduced by 1/3? No, because surface scale factor does not apply to surface area. So the volume was reduced by 1/3. Now remember, surface area will decrease, but not by 1/3. But the volume will be exactly cut in third if the length is cut in thirds. And remember, you can only change one attribute for this to occur. Okay, number 3. The radius and the height of the cylinder is shown below. So here's what I would do if I get a question like this. I would write down the formula. So let's figure out what formula we're using. Which expression should be used to determine how much purple paint is needed to cover? Now, I remember that cover is the outside, so that's surface area. So I write my formula. 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi rh. And then I know I'm picking a formula, so I'm going to go ahead and plug in my numbers, and then I'm going to stop and look. Now I noticed they used the pi, so I'm going to use pi when I replace. What's the radius? The radius is 3 because this goes halfway, and the height is 11. So 3 squared. So 2 times pi times 3 squared plus 2 times pi times radius, which is 3, times the height, which is 11. Now I look at my choices. Where do I see this match? Good. choice B. So always write out the formula and then just plug the numbers in if you're picking a formula. You don't have to answer this because they don't have answers here, just the formulas. Okay, so moving on to number 4. Okay, now I've got to find the surface area, and I look at the answers. Now I've got to actually work this problem out. So I look up at the formula sheet, and I know I'm going to use the surface area, but before I do that, let's label the length, the width, and the height. So surface area equals 2LW plus 2LH plus 2WH. Okay, so 2 times length, 5, times width, 4, box it in. Plus 2 times length times height, box it in. Plus 2 times width times height, box it in. Okay, 2 times 5 is 10, times 4 is 40. 2 times 5 is 10, times 10 is 100. 2 times 4 is 8, times 10 is 80. So I total this up, and I get 220 centimeters squared. So the correct choice was B. Okay, number 5. The length of a prism is changed from 8 to 16. Which of the following statements is not true? So I'm going to find the scale factor of the length, so new over old. It was changed from 8 to 16, so the new one is 16, and the old one is 8. And what's 16 divided by 8? 2. So let's think about that for a second. If the height doubles, what happens to the volume? It doubles. So this is true. So I can't pick it. The surface area increases. Well, if the scale factor is doubled, remember the surface area increases. Okay, now it's picking between these two, so let's read them both. The surface area is doubled, or the surface area increases but is not doubled. Good, it's C, because remember, okay, scale factor does not apply to surface area. So it doesn't double. It increases but is not doubled. So the correct answer is C, because we were picking the one that is not true. So that was a little bit tricky because it said not true. Number 6, what is the scale factor? So remember, new over old. Now look at this. Same, 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 different, different. Okay, which picture is the new one? The second one. So I'm going to put 16 over 8, and notice that the box increased in size. So 16 over 8, 16 divided by 8 is 2, so the box doubled. Remember, if it increases in size, your scale factor is greater than 1. And is 2 greater than 1? Yes. So I know that C is correct. Okay, I believe this is the last one. Okay, rectangular prism has a width of 2 and a volume of 12. The width is increased to 8. The other dimensions stay the same. What is the volume of the prism? So you could just look at the width and go, how do I get from 2 to 8? But let's pretend like we don't know how we got from 2 to 8. So let's find the scale factor of the width. So scale factor equals new over old. So what's the new width? 8. What's the old width? 2. And what's 8 divided by 2? 4. So that means that the width quadrupled in size. The width got multiplied by 4. So if the width gets multiplied by 4, what does the volume get multiplied by? 4. So 12 cubic inches. 12 cubic, well, let's just do 12 times 4 is 48, and now let's put it in. So cubic inches. Okay, that concludes our notes. Pardon the interruption there. This concludes, not our notes, this concludes our Unit 4 test preview on surface area and volume. I hope you have a great day.